Hello everyone. Just doing a quick kind of little another session of these live creation videos. Excuse me if the like I said the video is a bit static. Uh, what I'm doing at the moment is god, that was a bit loud. What I'm doing at the moment is, as per the title, I'm sewing a pair of post-apocalyptic gloves. I'm going for a style. It's kind of like Chris Renfield's gloves from the Resident Evil 5 game. Well, some down where, as you can see, he only has. I think in the game, yeah, it was the same as this, where he had plus the thumb, like only these three fingers cuff, and then he had these two not. I just want to go for something like that, just because I find in post-apocalyptic costumes or movies or just costume design in general, I find that a lot of things that aren't symmetrical, having things that are very much, off kilter. If you have a big shoulder pad here, have something smaller here, or just stuff that kind of, obviously not having it too much mismatched, because then it just becomes a big mess. But I find when making a post-apocalyptic costume, like look at Mad Max. Mad Max's jacket, it's almost a regular jacket, except he has one shoulder pad here, and that's it. And the reason why it's is because then it adds that asymmetrical look, so that it looks more unfinished and more patchy, but not too patchy. But along with that, it also gives them a unique silhouette, a trait, so that if you see a silhouette of a jacket and one shoulder pad, you're instantly going to think Mad Max. So whenever you're making a character, try and think of, especially with post-apocalyptic, is it going to be symmetrical? Will it make sense for it to be symmetrical? And if not, if it's supposed to be more of a ragtag character, or a character that needs to have something unique, think of something unique. Think of something that really sticks out. So if it is a case of they have one big shoulder pad, make a big shoulder pad, and be creative. We had 2 viewers and then someone buggered off. Oh well. Yeah, hello viewers. Hopefully can I see the chat if I press a button? Show live chat messages. Okay. How do I do that? There's supposed to be a way for me to see the chat messages. Just let me go into my share mute microphone. Okay, let's see. If I tap, if I hold it, does it show the messages? Nope, everyone's gone. Haha. I love it. Everyone came and left. That's weird. Anyways, let's just get on with it. So like I said, at the moment I've cut off the 2 fingers, and now I'm just sewing them with some black thread, so that you don't have loose edges that are gonna. If it's like I said, if it's a more ragtag character, then it'll be all right to have some loose edges, but it can also lead to the gloves in general just not lasting very long. So even if you do have loose ends, I'd always suggest having something to at least seal them. That either being over overlocking stitches on the edges, just so they don't fray as much or wear down too much. Or what you can also do is you can also just put a bit of super glue on the end, because that does work. I have a pair of gloves, or a glove I should say, that I use for my Altair costume, or my Altair van brace, that back then I didn't know how to sew, so I just used super glue, and it worked quite well actually. It's still holding up today, and fair enough, it doesn't look as pretty, and I'm gonna have to redo my because they're black gloves, and well, in the game they're brown, but still, I'm still quite proud of the fact that they hold up, and I always test it to the fact that super glue is a useful adhesive. Not many people will admit that, but I'm happy to admit that super glue is a helpful adhesive, especially if you're trying to fix things, like if there's a broken part on a gun or anything like that, it is useful as damn to have super glue on hand. And also, one thing to not be afraid of is if, like, say, your gloves, how mine are at the moment, you can see why I'm stitching. Ooh, if you can probably see why I'm stitching. You can see that it's starting to flare out, but it kind of get that tube effect. It's just because it's thinner leather. If it was thicker leather and you turned it over, it would last a little bit longer. But due to the fact that this is much thinner leather, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't actually think, in my opinion, I don't actually think it's real leather. I think it might be a faux leather, because these gloves, as far as I'm concerned, weren't that expensive. But oh well, they'll work. Like I said, in a post-apocalyptic world, like I said, I'm just sewing these for now. But once I'm done sewing them, I'm probably going to weather the hell out of them. That'll be a case of sandpaper, talc, and possibly, if I feel like, I might even paint some damage onto it. But when making a post-apocalyptic costume, depending on what environment you want, you gotta kind of think what is the reason why it's all, well, why the world has gone to hell, and also why is it that, where is your character set? Are they in the desert? 'Cause if in the desert, then dust, and you need to think dusting, bleaching, stuff like that, stuff that shows that the environment that the clothes have been in long before your character even found them. Because that's what you need to think. A lot of these clothes that a character will be wearing most likely are clothes that they've just found, or that isn't belonging to them. And if they do, even then, if they're wearing them for a while out in, like, say, just for basic argument's sake, the desert, like in Mad Max, then it's going to have sand, it's going to be dusty, and most of all, it is going to be dry, very dry. And unless obviously they're sweating a lot, so if it's a shirt, you might want to put some like sweat patches underneath the armpits and on the chest or whatever. But one other thing is that if you put talc on anything, it looks dusty. And if you want, you can even get actual sand and use that if you really want to. But I wouldn't really suggest that, because sand can be a bit of a pain, because it can actually get in places you don't want it. There's a story of a cosplayer who was, I can't remember what cosplay it was, but he had like a pair of combat trousers on. He obviously wanted to just dress them with sand, and it looked good. It looked like really beat up and worn, and like he had been, tracking through a desert, whatever. But the problem was some of the sand had gone into the crotch seam line, and of course then he wore them, and they got all up in his ghoulies, and he got quite itchy in a place that he couldn't scratch in public. So, like I said, always think ahead, never just blunder into something. It's also good practice, just for sewing gloves is good practice, especially when it comes to these fingers. Like, the main reason I want to do these is not just for costume or so I have them, but it's also because I want to practice for when I do my Altair gloves, because I'm going to redo them with brown leather gloves, so that they match more to the in-game thing. Because I do like the contrast between the black and the brown, but it still, to me, just doesn't look right. Sorry if anyone who stumbles upon this finds this really boring. Like I said, I do these live streams so that anyone can come along and watch how I make things and ask questions. Because that's the main thing I want out of these, is just ask questions. Like, if there's a really burning question in your mind, like, about a specific video, or, what camera do I usually use, or, what projects I've got on the go, or anything like that, feel free. Because I love conversing with people and talking to people about, hobbies and just anything. Like being creative. I think being creative is something that while yes, it's kind of accepted, a lot more viable nowadays to be creative and not be, well, like anyone else who just works from 9 to 5, gets a job, and blah 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 blah. Creative types are a lot more accepted and wanted, but also it's still those things where it's still hard to find people, like a big group of people, unless you're on the internet. And if you're not on the internet, then well, it's going to be harder. But luckily, a lot of people on the internet. But like, if you don't, then, and also with what's going on in America, we don't know if they'll have internet for very long for free. Yeah, I luckily I live in Europe. Like I say, I live in England, so I should be okay. But I don't agree with it. I really don't think you should be paying. You do already pay for internet, but I don't think you should be paying on top of of on top of that just to be on YouTube or some shit. It's ridiculous. Excuse my French. That's one thing I'm also trying to cut down on is swearing. I have the good British vocabulary in my lungs, so why am I wasting it just by effing and blinding? It's not a good thing. Never swear. Swear in times of anger, pain, frustration, fair enough, because it's a way of letting out, but just swearing, like, non-stop just because you can't think of any other words is not a good excuse. It's just, yeah. Yeah. I'm not going for little stitches on this. As you might notice, I'm not being precise and kind of going really small, even though for other people this might be considered small if you're starting out, but this isn't. Mainly because the smaller you make the stitch, the more frail they'll be, and because this is, well, even if it was real leather, but because it's fake leather, this is something I do not want being really weak. Like, these won't be pulled on as much, but they still I don't want them tearing, just because I put too small stitches on. Now tell me in the comments below, do you like these live streams? Because yeah, I know no one really comes and sees them. We had 2 people in, but then they left, which is all right. It's their choice. I know I'm not the most entertaining person in the world to watch and just sew gloves. And also, I know I haven't got the most, you know, professional setup, so I can see why people would just kind of leave and be like, nah, I'm not watching this loser for about, 13 minutes we're going on now. Right, okay, I think it's time I start stitching this off. So. And now just tying a knot to close it off. That's that not done. That's one finger done, and that only took us basically about 14 minutes. And if I put it on, you can see that looks pretty good. Looks nice and clean for the most part. That looks nice and clean. Stretch it. If I stretch it, it'll be. That's also another thing is you got, because of the way I'm stitching, which is just basic running stitch, when you're pulling, it can end up pulling things together. But as long as you just, like I said, stretch and strain out, there you are. I've stretched and strained out, and now it looks pretty nice. I like that. It's really good. Hey, it's pretty good. Now on to the other finger. But I will not bore you for that because live stream's been going on for about nearly 15 minutes. No one's come, no one's interested. which is fair enough. But oh well, this will be staying up here for archival purposes. I hope if anyone comes across this, you enjoyed me sitting here and rambling and sewing one finger in a glove.